Every day is a new beginning. Shine your light. It's a day and the world is waiting. Move along to the song, singing in your soul. Feel the beat, clap your hands, let's take control. All you need, all you want, are you ready to find your way? 'Cause every day is a new day.
Hey folks, welcome to Wisconsin Family. I'm Jessa Jeremiah.
And I'm Justin Riley, and we are so excited to be here at the J&K Security Solutions Model Smart Home.
Yes.
It's here on South Park Street in Madison. What a cool place this is.
Yeah, if you haven't been, you got to come check it out. There's a lot of cool little gadgets and buttons and things that we're going to learn about later in the show.
Yeah,
and I look forward to it.
Technology is very much infused in this place. It's a really cool place.
It sure is, and what a great time to talk about that. We're also going to be checking in with August from Pump It Up. Now, Pump It Up is a place that you can take your kids to get all kinds of great physical activity.
And imaginative play.
Yes.
That's a big part of what they do as well.
Which we're learning is more and more important as kids are getting more into their devices and TV and tablets and all these things. They're missing out on that imaginative play, and she's going to teach us a little bit about the importance of that.
That's very cool. And also we'll be joined again by our friend John Shear from Trinity Financial Planning, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the idea of investing. This can be kind of a scary topic because
it's a big topic.
It's a very big topic, and some folks are a little nervous about investing in long term, but he's really going to be talking to us about long-term investments.
Yeah,
so.
I wonder why, right? We get nervous about those things, but that'll be after the break. You'll learn a lot, I promise you. It's all right here on Wisconsin Family at J&K Security Solutions. Stick around.
'Cause every day is a new day.
Hello, hello, welcome back to Wisconsin Family. We are still here at J&K Security Solutions. We've picked up a guest. You may recognize this guest. This is John Shearer from Trinity Financial Planning. We're so glad to have you.
Good to see you guys again.
We love talking to you. I think Justin and I both learn a lot when you're here.
Yeah, we sure do.
Yes, make some changes in our personal lives, but we're going to talk about some different things. So we've talked about taxes, lots of other planning issues. Today, let's talk a little bit about an investment strategy. So I think going into a new year, everybody kind of starts to reevaluate, or maybe should start to reevaluate if they're not. Tell us a little bit about investing and if this is a good time to invest.
That's a great question. We get that a lot. We're getting a lot recently with the markets ups and downs and the things you read in the paper. But really, it's sort of the wrong question. That the question is not, is this a good time? The question is, do I need to save more to reach my goals? And if I do, is investing in the stock market the place to do it?
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so saving being a part of the plan and then investing the money that you save, is that the right decision? That's
right.
the question that we want to be asking.
That's right. So if you assume that, okay, yes, I do need to save more, then the question is, okay, stocks, are they kind of scary? What should we do now? And really, again, it sort of focuses on what's going to happen tomorrow or next week or next year, and that's nobody knows that stuff.
Right.
If Warren Buffett can't figure it out, we can't figure it out.
Right, exactly.
So you take a look at a long-term basis, 20, 30, 40 years, you'll expect your stocks are going to return somewhere between 8 and 10%. Your bonds will be a little bit more conservative. They'll be about half that, 4 or 5%. And then cash and CDs are going to get about half of that again, maybe 2 or 3%. And so when you look long term at those figures, that's where you should really base your investment planning on.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff there. So obviously we all would like to save more money, and we all probably need to save a little bit more money. So, should we be waiting until we save money, or should we be more or less investing in stocks now? I mean, what is the right time then?
Yeah, it's one of those things that you sort of feel like we get a lot of people that say that geez, we need to know what's going to happen next year,
right,
whether we should invest now or not. What's going to happen, and predicting the future is not key to a successful investment strategy.
Right.
And so again, I said, who knows what's going to happen next year, next month? Is the Fed going to raise rates? All these different things. So we like to take a look back at history to give us some benchmarks for what's going on and what we can expect into the future. And so I look back 40 years. That's a pretty long time frame for most people's. You look at somebody starting out working, 40 years later they'll be retiring. Somebody starting out retiring now, they still got about 40 years left to plan for. So if we go back 40 years, 1975, the S&P 500 was at about 90 or so. 10 years later, 1985, it was around 200. Right? Go another 10 years to 1995, it was about 1,200.
Wow.
It was about 800.
Wow.
And then from there in 2005 it was about 1,200. So a decade ago it's at 1,200. Today it's closing somewhere around 2,000.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of information there. I have all this on our website. We wrote a blog post about this. So you look back, 40 years, the S&P was at 90. Today it's at 2,000.
Yeah.
I don't need to know what's going to happen next year, but what do you think for your retirement money in 20 or 30 or 40 years? Is the market going to be higher or lower than it is today? Well, based on history, you go, okay, probably higher. So then is this a good time to invest? Certainly, regardless of what happens next year.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
because we're really thinking long term.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
So the long-term goal, we're not necessarily thinking about next year. So we're trying to consider, how many years left we have maybe until retirement and looking way ahead. But that leads you to believe that we might need some kind of insight, right, into what's going to happen at least in 20 or 30 years. So how do you help us with that piece?
Well, sure, and it's one of those things that keeping the focus on the long term, because you read the newspaper, what happened yesterday? The market was down 2 or 3% this week, I think it was, and it's sort of, it encourages you to think short term with things.
Right, yeah.
And so that
you watch
idea,
daily, right?
Right, and so the market's risky. I mean, if you define risk as volatility, it goes up, it goes down, yeah, that's scary. But there's other types of risk when you take a look at what we just talked about, what the market's done over the last 20 and 30 and 40 years.
Right.
People don't think about, oftentimes folks will come to us and say, geez, I want to keep my money in CDs or I don't want to see it go down ever. But when you take a look at inflation, 40 years ago, a U.S. postage stamp cost 10 cents. Today it's 49 cents.
Yeah.
Right? You could, for $1, you could buy 10 of them back in the 70s. Today you can buy 2. Right? Your CDs aren't going to keep up with that, so you have to have that long-term time horizon with at least some of your money.
Okay.
So what about things that aren't maybe 40 years away, like retirement? What about some things like college education? What are some ways that we might be able to invest or save for that?
Sure. It's a similar thought process that if you're looking out more than 5 or 10 years, I mean, look at the numbers on that S&P. 20 years ago, it was at 1,200. It was at 600.
Sure.
Today it's at 2,000.
Yeah.
40 years ago it was at 90. Then it was at 6. You look at that long term. We were talking 10 and 15 and 20 years. Really, it's that same thing as what happens tomorrow if the Fed raises rates. If what are earnings this quarter. That stuff is immaterial when you look at a lifetime of investing. That's really the way to look at it, is over a lifetime.
All right. So when you're talking about risk, we're not necessarily thinking about, is it risky, to invest next week or next year? Is it risky over the long term? But stocks, there's risk involved there.
Well, it's a great question. One of the things I talk about with people is if you plant a garden and you're going to use that to live off of, to eat your vegetables, every year your garden doesn't grow fantastically, right? But over time, so does that mean should you plant your garden this year? Well, I don't know. We're going to have a drought, or we're going to have a flood. But you still plant the garden, right? Because over time you're going to be able to can some of those vegetables, and next year when we have a flood, we're going to eat them, right? But it's not like you say, well, is this a good time to plant? Well, no. Okay, plant things in the spring, and over your lifetime of planting a garden, you're going to have a pretty successful experience. Real similar thing with investing.
Very good. Well, thank you I love the metaphor.
That's
Thanks
a
for
great
putting that
analogy,
into layman's terms for us. This is John Shearer from Trinity Financial Planning. They're fabulous. Check out his website. He has a great website. I think we agree. And we're going to be back. We've got August from Pump It Up joining us after the break.
'Cause every day is a new day.
And welcome back to Wisconsin Family. We are here at J&K Security Solutions in their model smart home.
Yes,
really cool place. Yeah, we're going to be
yes.
talking with those folks in just a little bit. But first, we are joined now by August DeSalvo from Pump It Up. Welcome back.
Thank you.
You
Glad
are
to be
looking
here.
glowing and beautiful as always.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Glad to have you.
Thank
So
you.
one of the things that you've talked about with us before is the idea of imaginative play and how playing at Pump It Up really allows kids to engage in imaginative play. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. Children today, it's no secret, watch entirely too much TV, especially as the winter comes on and the cold weather starts and it's just too cold to be outside. And so, I looked up some statistics, and 3/4 of children ages 2 to 6, which is our primary audience, are watching 2 to 4 hours a day of TV.
Wow.
2 to 4 hours a day.
That's a lot.
And it's not because mom or dad wants to stick them in front of the TV. It's just because, there's only so much you can do. And really it's really hard to find activities, especially in our community, in the winter to do. So Pump It Up allows for that imaginative play. Imaginative play is a big buzzword today. You can Google it and find tons of articles and research on it, but it really promotes their communication skills, their cognitive learning skills, and also empathy within a child. So lots of valuable benefits, just getting them out of the house and allowing them to use that imagination instead of electronics or a television.
That's a really good point, and I think because we have so much TV in our lives and just even the gadgets and things we didn't have 5-10 years ago, with kids getting tablets and phones and things so early, the imaginative play for children is really starting to diminish. So I think that's really interesting. So we've talked a little bit about birthday parties in terms of imaginative play. You can mention more about that if you like, but tell us some other ways in which you can get imaginative play at Pump It Up.
Absolutely. So we have our open jumps that are every day at Pump It Up, which allows them to play on the huge inflatables and have a great time and use their imagination. We also have some floor games that they can play with an electronic, but it also takes their imagination to kind of make something out of that. We also have a special event coming up that we're really excited about. It's in January, so you have plenty of time to plan. When school's out on Martin Luther King Day, on a Monday, we're going to have a superhero party, and we're also going to have a princess ball, and we're going to have some princesses come on site and play with the children and sign autographs and really be there with the children. So we're really excited about that event because the superhero parties that we're having now and the princess parties, this gives parents a chance to get a snapshot of what a party like that would look like and let the children experience it. So we're super excited about that.
Super excited, pun intended.
Yes, absolutely.
That sounds like
puns,
fun.
Jess.
I can't help it. I notice one, I have to call it out.
So, when we talk about this imaginative play and, kids watching too much TV, I have to admit that as a parent, sometimes it's easier for me to just, I have a hard day at work, I want to come home and just relax a little bit, and I watch TV with the kids. But you really offer an opportunity for parents to have sort of a break themselves while also giving kids an opportunity to engage in imaginative play, and you're kind of expanding that during this holiday season. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So you're correct, and I think that during the holidays is so, especially working parents, just getting the Christmas shopping or the holiday shopping done, and when the kids are not with you, and that's the challenge. You want to spend time with them, but you want them to have a good time, and then paying a babysitter can be so expensive. So every Friday in December, we kicked it off last Friday, we have what's called Jump and Shop. So for a 4-hour window from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., you and your spouse can drop off the kids at Pump It Up. They're going to watch a movie. They're going to have plenty of jump time and fun. They're going to have a lot of fun, entertaining things, a craft time, burn off all that energy, and you and your spouse can go shop from 6 to 10 at night. And maybe even grab dinner in that time. So we're really excited about that. Parents are loving it.
Time for dinner with your spouse? Doesn't sound right.
Without the kids?
Right, and you don't have to feel guilty, and it's not expensive. It's wonderful.
All
That's
of
awesome.
those things sound unrealistic, but I believe you.
And then also during the holiday season, we have expanded open jumps. So especially when the school breaks out, we'll have 2 to 3 open jumps per day. So check out our calendars because there's going to be lots of opportunities to open the doors for the parents this holiday.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to ask about. So winter break, and for some folks, depending on what school you're in and how old your kids are, can be a long break,
two
right?
and a half weeks.
You run out of things to do, and there's sitting in front of the TV, like we mentioned, and then there's going outside and doing those really cold activities. Sometimes we don't want to do those, but you've got lots of opportunities for people to come in and
again 2 to 3 open jump segments per day, which is more than we typically have. And then we have, if you haven't been there in the last couple months, our new parent area. So parents can also bring the laptop or your tablet and sit in the parent area and enjoy, or bring a little snack for the kids. So it's a lot more relaxing now that you can kick back and let the kids play.
It's so hard to get stuff done at home when the kids are at home, but you bring them somewhere like that where they're
Keeps them busy.
really occupied, you actually could get some things done.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
On the computer.
Absolutely.
I love it. Thank you so
Very
much.
cool.
Thank you for having me.
August DeSalvo, thank you so much for joining us. August joined us from Pump It Up. Parents, I hope you're listening. Take your kid over to Pump It Up, get a nice needed break, get some extra shopping done. And we'll be right back here on Wisconsin Family. We'll be talking with the folks from J&K Security Solutions. And welcome back to Wisconsin Family. And here we are. This is the segment we've all been waiting for.
Yes, it is.
We are talking to the folks from J&K Security Solutions, and we're going to learn a little bit more about the model smart home that we're in right now. I'm joined now by owners Jeff Beckman and General Manager Tom Spinoso. Welcome.
Hi, good morning. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us, guys. We've really enjoyed being here and lounging in the
Yes.
theater room.
Yeah, that's a cool place, that
It sure
theater.
is.
So, Jeff, I want to start with you a little bit. Why don't you just give us a quick history of J&K Security Solutions?
Well, actually, kind of hard to believe, but 30 years ago we started as locksmiths.
Really?
We started out of our home, so it was my wife, Kim, and myself.
Yeah.
And went from there. We went to a retail location, expanded, moved to another location, all on Park Street. Expanded, moved to another location, got into security, expanded again, came here. And in 2009, we built this building, and the rest is history.
Wow.
That is interesting. So you've just kept moving and expanding along the way, and here you are today running this wonderful business.
Made the right decisions along the way, had the right help.
Sure.
A lot of family.
Yeah.
Brother, son, son-in-law,
Yeah.
wife.
That's
so
great.
It's become a family business.
Yes,
Family
yes.
affair.
Absolutely.
Well, that's wonderful. So you definitely are equipped to answer this question. Then I'd like to know, over the years, 30 years, I suppose you could answer, how has security sort of grown and evolved and changed?
Well, back in the 90s when we did a lot of lock work and we did a lot of institutional lock work, hospitals and whatnot,
Sure.
everyone was going electronic. They wanted an electronic strike, they wanted card access, they wanted burg alarm cameras. Wasn't a big thing then, but we decided we better get on the horse or we'll be left behind. So today, it's affordable for everybody.
Sure.
I mean, we get calls daily. You have your national companies, ADT, you have other national ones. We're local.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very cool to say that you're local and you can do the same thing that some of those bigger companies do.
Absolutely.
And I imagine that, that was a good example of a smart move on your part then to, say, I think this could be a thing, these electronic cards and so forth. That could be a thing in the future, so we really need to get on that.
It was. We were very fortunate we made that decision.
Yes.
Yes.
And it was a smart move, like you said.
Smart move. Got it. You're just full of them today,
I know,
Jessa.
yeah.
So I'm really intrigued by the idea of the smart home technology. We've been hearing more and more about that. I think that's one of those things that could be like the next, key fob and whatnot. So talk to us a little bit about what exactly is a smart home.
That's where I'm going to refer to Tom. He's the expert here.
Well, a smart home is really a home where everything works together. We can take subsystems in a home or parts of a home like lighting, HVAC, security, audio, video, energy management, those kinds of things, and blend them together so that they all work together, can talk to one another, and can be be controlled really from within the home or outside the home, and really make a home work for a person or a family.
Yeah, and kind of expand on that working smarter together, what that kind of means for a family in terms of, just convenience.
Sure. Yeah, we focus a lot on comfort and convenience, and safety and security would be some areas that people really enjoy. An example would be if you're coming home late at night, the system might know, for example, that it's dark outside. You open your garage door, it would light your home, the outside lights, and maybe light a pathway into your home automatically without you having to think about it. And the system works on, knows when dawn and dusk is, so as that changes throughout the year, you don't have to think about it, the system automatically does it for you. That would be an example. The other feature people really like about a smart home would be an automation scene. We would call it good night as an example. You might have a keypad or pull out your phone next to your bed and press a good night button. It would turn the lights off in the home. It might arm your security system, shut the garage door if you had left it on, turn the thermostat back when you're ready to go to bed as opposed to a hard schedule. So it's really about taking all these areas and blending them together and making that house work together.
And even one more point, people go on vacation, they set timers for lights because they want to make sure that people think they're home.
Right.
You can put a vacation scene in there and it'll handle everything that you pre-program into it.
Oh, that's really great. I liked what you said about being in bed and being able to shut everything off.
Right.
You know how that is when you lay down and you're all ready to go to bed and then you go, oh shoot, I left such and so light on, and you got to get back up.
Right.
And, I mean, that's a convenience thing, but how nice to be able to just set it and forget it.
And they give you visual confirmation. Is that door closed? Is that light off? So you don't have to get up and run around the house
Right,
and work those
and
items.
then the vacation safety, I think that's something that everybody needs and wants.
Yes, absolutely. And now I'm curious to know, I have a lot of questions about this, and I don't know if we're going to have time to get to all of them today, but how does one get started with a smart home? What are the first steps? If I wanted to convert my home into a smart home, what are the first steps?
Well, what's great about smart home today is that you can get started in very small ways. You can start with a one-room system, control perhaps your audio and video, some lights, and then scale into a bigger system for your entire house. So it typically starts with a controller or some software and some devices, and once you get them connected, you can start from there and then grow. The great thing about the smart home technology today is whether you're building a new home or remodeling, a lot of the smart home technology today is wireless. So we can go into an existing home, retrofit that home, and get all the advantages of somebody who would be building a new home today.
I think that's a really good point that you brought up, because I think maybe folks may not everyone may not realize that, and they think, boy, I have an older home, I would love the technology, but I can't do it because they'd be tearing down walls or wiring through different things, but that's not the case. So it really doesn't matter what you're saying, the age of the home, you can make it a smart home regardless.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And tell us a little bit, you kind of touched on this a little bit, Jeff, but talk to us a little bit about sort of the difference or why J&K is a great place to start, maybe as opposed to some of those bigger names.
Well, where I will start is, we've been here 30 years. We're family owned.
Yeah.
We're local. Everyone knows buying local is best.
Yeah.
We actually have learned over time how you treat customers, and that's how we retain them. There are other aspects that Tom will go into.
Just a couple of things. I think the showroom, and you've talked about it, the ability to come in, this technology can seem confusing, it can seem sort of, people are hesitant to ask questions. When you come into the showroom, you can come in, it's set up like a home, we'll let you work the equipment, you'll see how it works, you'll interact with it, and that allows you to get a real comfort level with it. And I think that's a big distinction between what we do here and what's done elsewhere.
Boy, I think that's so important too, because if you're talking about new technology, and I think this is a good topic for some older folks and people who live at home alone, that maybe they're nervous that they won't know how to use it, and so that might be a hindrance to going ahead and getting it, even though it would be a huge benefit.
And maybe the last thing, and I think this is where Jeff is going to go, our support and customer service. I mean, we are really great at what we do, and so if somebody has questions or problems or issues, I feel like nobody stands behind people as good as J&K does.
Yeah, well, thanks for mentioning that.
And they're going to talk to somebody locally if they do have an issue.
A real person.
Yeah, a real person.
Imagine that, right?
Yeah. Well, Jeff and Tom, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for having us. This was great talking with
Yeah,
you.
we
Thank you
enjoyed
for
it,
being
guys.
here.
Thank
you.
you.
It's fun.
And that's all the time we have for Wisconsin Family. We've been here on location at J&K Security Solutions, and we'll see you next time.
Every day is a new beginning. Shine your light. It's a day and the world is waiting.